In ancient Hindu cosmology, there is a baseline rule that governs all of reality. Mortality is a strict mathematical certainty, and overseeing that cosmic accounting is a single entity, Yama. Yama functions as a cosmic auditor. He tracks the precise lifespan of every soul, ensuring the universe's books are balanced to the second. His noose isn't a weapon of malice, but a tool for maintaining universal equilibrium. But long ago, a devoted couple named Mrikandu and Marudmati attempted to bypass these normal natural laws. Childless and desperate to continue their spiritual lineage, they didn't pray to the administrators of the system. They petitioned the ultimate executive power, Lord Shiva. Appealing directly to the top of the cosmic hierarchy can sometimes bypass standard limits, but disrupting the natural order always demands a severe structural trade-off. This animated diagram illustrates the brutal binary choice Lord Shiva presented to the couple. They could have either a long, spiritually empty life for their child, represented by this flat line, or a son who is brilliant and virtuous, shown by this upward golden trend, but whose life would hit a hard stop at exactly 16 years. Without hesitation, the parents made their choice. They decided to prioritize the quality of their child's virtue over the quantity of his time. They named the boy Markandeya, and he grew into a spiritual prodigy. Instead of playing, he chanted sacred mantras and mastered complex texts. His devotion was compounding, but so was the timer. Yet despite achieving total spiritual perfection, Markandeya was still trapped by the math. His parents knew that no amount of virtue could void the inescapable absolute of his 16-year contract. As the years ticked down, the parents' quiet grief finally broke. On the eve of his 16th birthday, unable to hide their tears any longer, they revealed the terrifying cosmic deadline to their son. Markandeya refused to panic, and he didn't try to flee. Instead, he went to the seashore, built a sacred Shiva Linga out of sand and stone, and anchored himself to it through intense, continuous chanting. Looking at this cosmic system map, we can see the logic of his strategy. Markandeya wasn't trying to fight the downward flow toward death. By physically and mentally binding himself to Shiva, he was attempting a total transfer of jurisdiction directly back to the lawmaker. Markandeya was forcing a conflict between two different types of authority. He was betting that by physically merging his fate with the Shiva Linga, the presence of the lawmaker would supersede the law enforcer's authority. Exactly on schedule, the heavens fell silent. Yama arrived, acting strictly on his cosmic mandate to close out Markandeya's ledger and collect his soul. But here is where the systemic error occurred. Markandeya refused to release the Shiva Linga. When the god of death finally threw his noose, it accidentally snared the sacred object right alongside the boy. The reaction was catastrophic. The earth shook, the oceans trembled, and the stone violently split apart. From within, Shiva emerged in his most terrifying, destructive form, Kala Bhairava, blazing with power. What followed was essentially a high-stakes legal clash. Yama argued he was simply executing standard system functions. Every living thing has to die. But Shiva declared a supreme executive privilege, stating that devotees who surrender entirely are under his absolute protection. To enforce that supreme privilege, Shiva struck Yama down with his trident, actively overriding the system and stopping the god of death in his tracks. By killing the immortal god of death, Shiva proved that divine grace outranks the physical laws of nature. But overriding the universe's primary rule had immediate, disastrous consequences. With Yama dead, mortality instantly ceased to exist everywhere. This flowchart illustrates the resulting biological and cosmic gridlock. Without a mechanism for destruction, the cycle of rebirth completely froze. The universe began to overpopulate, causing the entire structural system to redline and face total collapse. Across the cosmos, the other gods panicked. They petitioned Shiva, pointing out a grim reality. Death might be terrifying on an individual level, but it is a necessary structural mechanism to keep reality functioning. It is the ultimate paradox of cosmic balance. In order to sustain life, the universe absolutely requires the function of death. Recognizing the imminent system failure, Shiva resolved the crisis by issuing a cosmic reboot. He revived Yama, restoring the flow of time and mortality, but he also introduced a permanent patch into the code of the universe. Yama was restored, but he was strictly forbidden from ever claiming a soul operating in a state of absolute, fearless devotion. For discovering and proving this loophole, Markandeya received a unique reward. He was granted literal immortality, permanently frozen at 16 years old. He became an eternal sage, surviving endless cycles of universal creation and destruction. Sitting peacefully while galaxies collapsed and reformed around him, he went on to narrate vast portions of the ancient Puranas, passing his wisdom down through the ages. In the architecture of this universe, absolute surrender created a friction point that the standard laws of nature couldn't resolve. It proved that a sufficiently deep connection to the source of the law could quite literally rewrite the terms of one's own destiny.